So what in the world has happened to Diablo 4's user review scores? Check it out right here, sitting at only a 4.9 compared to the critic rating of 87 overall. So either something has gone terribly wrong with Diablo 4 or there is a review bomb happening right now. But is there any truth to these reviews? We're going to dive into this and talk about it. Plus, it looks like a potential secret cow level either exists in the game right now or will be headed to the game in the future. We've got a brand new data mine about this one. I'll dive into that with you. Also, some core issues still plague the game. We got some big tips about what affects XP gains and how you can maximize your experience gains in the future. But yeah, check this out right here. So yeah, I got to tell you about this awesome new animated series I've been watching. It's called Raid, called The Arbiter, and it's actually amazing so far. I'm very surprised by how good the visuals are, and I love the art style too, and the story is on point. This new series ties directly into the game Raid Shadow Legends and expands on the lore and world of Raid, including the backstories of many of the champions in the game, which is really cool. And Raid will be dropping new episodes of Raid called The Arbiter every Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until July 20th, and all the episodes are available to watch for free in the Raid Shadow Legends game. And get this, they've already released 3 episodes of Raid called The Arbiter so far, and there's even exclusive behind-the-scenes content, deep dives into the lore of Raid, and an Easter egg hunt for codes that are hidden within each episode. Plus, Raid is doing a bunch of content drops in their game Raid Shadow Legends, and these content drops tie directly into the animated series and include 75 new character lore bios, in-game events, and last but not least, the chance to get one of the characters from the show, Artak, a playable legendary champion, for free by logging into Raid between now and July 24th. If you haven't started playing Raid yet, use my link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen to get a free starter pack worth $30, which includes an Epic Knight Errant, 200,000 silver, 4 energy refills, 1 Epic Stone Tome, and a 1-day XP booster. So join me right now and click my link in the description below to get the free starter pack. And don't forget to check out the new Raid Call of Arbiter series. And a huge thanks to Raid for believing in what I do, sponsoring this video, and supporting my channel. All right, so we've got to talk about this right here. What in the world is going on with this 4.9 user score, which is exceptionally low? Now, we also have an interesting counter argument from a very upvoted post out on Reddit. We'll get into that in just a moment. But first, let's get into these user reviews. So check it out here. It says, Blizzard doing Blizzard things, a game stuck in the past. No innovation, terrible connection, it's just trash. And they give it a 0 out of 10 rating, which is exceptionally harsh, of course. But are any of their complaints actually legit? When they talk about terrible connection in particular, of course, we have had several connection issues during this weekend period, of course, but that is at launch. And so far, it's somewhat mellowed out for me. Now, even if I have disconnects, which is a bummer, don't get me wrong, it does have a nice checkpoint system that does need to be improved, of course, when it comes to dungeons. We've heard that feedback, so hopefully they can fine-tune that. But to give it a 0 out of 10, wow, that is exceptionally harsh. Next up, we have this one right here. It says, sigh. It's really easy to overlook the huge amount of effort the designers, modelers, artists, developers, audio engineers, etc. put into a title like this, just to see it come crashing down with short-sighted decisions by executives like implementing premium currency, mediocre updates to the gameplay, and going so bloody woke. Truly disappointing from a gamer's perspective. Now, the premium currency is an issue in its own right. I have my own reservations about that when it comes to a $70 game at its minimum, by the way, having such pricey cosmetics. I can go on and on about it, but it's kind of old to do that. But yeah, we'll see where the shop goes, because they are planning on doing some very interesting updates to the shop here once we roll into Season 1. So I'm a little bit apprehensive about certain notifications appearing more often throughout the game to try to get you into purchasing premium currency. But again, 2 out of 10 rating, whoo, that is really, really harsh. Now, we do have more of an extensive user review here from Gasu Emperor Jesus, who says this: to be clear up front, this game is a 5 out of 10, then why give it a 0? I'm giving it a 0 to offset a 10. This game is not a 10. It's also not a 0. I'm simply creating balance. Now to my review. What I can say that hasn't already been said. For a $70 game, you receive overall lack of imagination, mediocre character creation, okay but forgettable soundtrack. I love the soundtrack. I love the sound design, by the way. Whoa. This level scaling that robs you from ever feeling powerful. Now, this is controversial and currently a big discussion within the community. Some people like it, but also I'm seeing more and more pushback to the scaling in this game that, you know, a lot of people just do not care for. So I'm curious to see how Blizzard actually reacts to it, but it seems to be very much part of the DNA of this game. So honestly, I don't think anything will be changing with this scaling. It's just that I think you're going to have to learn a lot of the systems at play here and really adapt. Furthermore, it goes on to say this, okay, skill tree and skills, nothing mind-blowing. When it comes to that, we do know officially that they are going to be making the skill trees more robust down the road. Existing skill trees, by the way. We're going to be getting a new class, of course, but they want to do stuff with the existing classes, which I think is going to be interesting. Now, an open world that feels the same no matter where you go, I completely disagree with this wholeheartedly. I feel like they have done amazing work here with the open world, with the regions, and also it does change in the in-game with the Hell Tides. That's something that I absolutely love. And then you have the strongholds as well, which is cool. And then we have same with enemies, largely forgettable, repetitive dungeons, as others have said, that feel like they're reskinned, great cutscenes, bland boss fights, boring items, just another number check, no real uniqueness, microtransactions for a $70 game. Completely agree with that one. Decent story. Now, for the amount of production time, money, and effort put into this, I expected so much more. Blizzard has let me down for the last time. I'm now convinced between Diablo 4 and Immortal, hell, even the Diablo 3 real money, they've gone way off greed over passion, or greed over passion, I guess. Like so many other AAA developers have over the last several years, you may get some fun out of this. $30 worth of fun, definitely not $70 worth of fun. Yeah, if you had to put a price tag on this game, what would it be worth to you out of your current experience? I'm kind of curious about that. And then we have Aloha, who says, everything is good except no solo play, can't disable other players, monster level scaling. Again, that theme about scaling, which ruins the game. Diablo series is becoming an MMO with no solo option. Very sad. With the disconnect issues, I do understand this complaint about having no offline play. In fact, a lot of the complaints here, if we just keep going here, are about forced multiplayer, no real single player option, not able to play offline. So that's really where a lot of these zeros are coming into play. And again, I really do wish that that was an option. It should be, you know. For example, by the way, I was on the final boss in this game, and guess what? I got disconnected. Now, talk about a mood killer. That is just the absolute worst, because I was like in full-blown hype mode. I was having fun, and then boom, you are disconnected. It absolutely killed the mood for me, and I just had to, you know, regather myself. So yeah, I get where you guys are coming from. But yeah, what's the counter argument to a lot of these complaints? We got to go over to Reddit, where there's a very highly upvoted post. So check it out. It says, dear developers that put their heart and soul into Diablo 4. This comes from Pinbrala, who says, you did it. You created something to be absolutely proud of. You took one of the most beloved IPs in history and made a sequel deserving of the name Diablo. You absolutely knocked it out of the park. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. All the elements come together in a fantastic way. Visually, the game is stunning. Everything feels right and conveys the proper emotions. I was genuinely grossed out during some of the most grotesque scenes, which makes sense. It's Diablo. The sound design is great after I turn the effects volume to 5 so I can hear the other goodies in 5.1 surround. Music and ambience set the tone perfectly in every area. The voice actors really gave a wonderful performance as well. Can I say something about that? Donen really nailed it. I'm not going to spoil anything, but dude, that's all I'm going to say about that. Anyway, moving on, we have this one. I won't speak much about the story due to spoilers, but damn, it is apparent that some true love was put into this aspect, unlike Diablo 3 in my opinion, but to each their own. As for the gameplay, spot on. I'm playing on console with my spouse and young kid. I played through and we skipped most cutscenes. They're both having an absolute blast with me while I feed the addiction introduced to me at 7 years old, nearly 25 years ago. Having been a die-hard PC gamer all of my adult life, this here is something absolutely magical. To create a couch co-op experience that rivals anything this hardcore gamer has ever played is truly a testament to your dedication. They did not have to do couch co-op. From what I understand, that was actually extremely challenging for them to pull off. So kudos to Blizzard for that one. Now, also, he goes on to say this as well. Are there things to improve upon? Obviously, yes. And I have to assume your corporate overlords are the reason we don't have absolute perfection already. It doesn't make financial sense to make a live service game that doesn't really need any new service. We get it. As a player that has spent many hundred hours each in Diablo 1, 2, and 3, as well as a few thousand playing hardcore characters on Path of Exile, I thank you for everything you've done. I look forward to everything that is going to come from this foundation you poured your souls into. From a true fan, thank you. And I think the perfect word there out of all of that is foundation. What we have here right now is a superb foundation for what can become an absolutely excellent game in the future. This has so much potential to turn into something amazing. But at the same time, I do have some reservations and worries. I hope they don't get too greedy at the corporate level. That's my only reservation. But what is here right now is amazing to start. I do wish the story, though, was a bit longer. That's one of my complaints, if I can tell you, because let me tell you what, I was addicted to the story. I just loved it. I want more. All right, so we also got to talk about this being an issue as well. The community is talking about it. Check it out right here. Pretty cheap, it says. And you can see the enchant cost right here is 10 million. 10 million in gold. That is insane. And we have some comments here. It says, there should be a reasonable cap on the cost of each roll at some point. In response, I'm going to disagree. It just becomes pointless and gold becomes meaningless very, very quickly. At least with this system, the balance between resources and gold is kept healthy. And if a 4 times perfect stat drops, it's a huge deal. And if you get a 3 times and it's really worth the time to perfect it, it's a project you work on long term. I like the new system. Whilst early leveling treats reroll as a 1 times gamble to get a 4th stat on a 3 stat item. So it seems like people, in my opinion, from this post are pretty divided currently on the cost of enchanting. At first, it still doesn't, seem like much, but once you get into enchanting like over and over again and you're trying to get the perfect roll, it gets super expensive in some ways. But I don't know. It also kind of, yes, makes sense. But yeah, let me know your opinion on this one if you do think in any way, shape, or form this needs to be adjusted in the future. Now, what about seasonal renown? We have this one right here. Just wanted to add another voice to the pile. Making us redo renown each season is not going to be fun and engaging content. This decision should be reconsidered before they upset a large majority of their player base in Season 1. Edit. Wanted to add that I'm entirely in favor of changing how renown is generated during seasons. Renown doesn't need to be removed, just changed. Finding altars we've already found, exploring the whole map again, and repeating side quests isn't the best solution. Wholeheartedly agree, as do many of you. The redundancy here is going to be just, man, it's the one thing I'm not really looking forward to when it comes to the introduction of seasons. I'm apprehensive. We'll see what happens. I think that this stuff, again, will improve in time, but it seems like Season 1 is very, very much in development. Of course, they would have to be completely wrapped up with it for the most part. So I think any change to the renown system would most likely be happening down the road. That's all I got to speculate on that one. That is speculation. All right, so check this out right here. We've got to talk about the cow level. It says this, possible cow level location. Messing around in Cad Bardu, when I found this fountain with an interactable old tablet in the top left, text and image 1, and the oxen god of the east, text and image 2, and the fountain location in image 3 might be a hint to finding the cow level that most certainly doesn't exist, or at least a nod to the joke. So there's some Easter eggs going on right here. As you could see right here, if we keep scrolling down, there's some hints and teases, and he shows kind of the location here as well. Now, someone actually data mined Diablo 4, specifically searching for cow level information, and check it out. It says right here that we have apparently some hints about it as well. Definitely something there. Buddies and I looked for a bit. Will continue tomorrow. So perhaps there's some sort of portal that opens up to a secret cow level, or this could allude to the fact that we could be seeing this introduced later down the road. But again, they're missing out. It needs to be a secret chicken level to tie in with the KFC promos that they've done. It would only make sense for them to evolve this thing, of course. But yeah, we'll see what becomes of this. I will be sure to let you guys know what happens. Now, also, there were some teases as well in the Book of Lorith. Check it out. It says, the new Book of Lorith mentions the cow level in canonical terms a couple times. Once that it may just be hallucinations from mushrooms near Tristram, and the other explanation being a nightmare. Interesting that we now have nightmare dungeons. Maybe for one of the seasons, Blizz makes a unique sigil that allows the nightmare dungeons to be transformed into a new cow level. I do think that there is potentially something here, but I don't want to read into it too much. I don't want to get you guys like excited about this prospect. But yeah, it would be fun if they could potentially develop this into an actual tangible Easter egg for sure. All right, so we got to talk about some really cool stuff going on with XP. Check it out. It says XP 101. What affects XP gains? I am throwing this in the description for you all. I highly recommend that you bookmark it so you have kind of a shortcut on how to get XP. This should be super helpful, of course, when you create new characters or when we roll into Season 1. But yeah, definitely check that out. I think that will help a lot of people. Also, mentioning tips and tricks, we have some random useful tips. Now, it says this, if you level 70 and up and have World Tier 4 unlocked, you can farm Hell Tides in World Tier 3 and then switch to World Tier 4 when you go to open chests. Useful if you're struggling for gear. Now, let me know if this actually works, of course. This needs to be tested by the community. Similarly, when doing Renown, you can switch to World Tier 1 to more quickly complete dungeon and side quests if you don't care about the loot. Now, if you're having issues with storage space, you can make a new character and have up to 10 characters, by the way, and store items you don't intend to use for a long time on the new character's inventory. That's actually quite creative right there. If you're struggling to keep track of where your character is, you can add a self-highlight so you can see yourself more clearly during high-density mobs in the accessibility settings. You can enable trade chat, which works great as a global chat, which works as a global chat in social chat settings. And you can toggle an FPS counter by pressing Ctrl R once and a ping latency counter by pressing Ctrl R twice. Now, whilst you're mounted on a horse, you have a much smaller aggro range and wider FOV. This can be useful when extracting at the altars in the PvP zone to the point the mobs don't even attack you due to the limited aggro range. Your horse spur boost lasts longer the further the cursor is away from your character. Excellent tips wrapped up right there in this post. So great job, Raxium, for the tips and tricks. Hopefully it helps some of you out. Now it's time to get into your top comments. Remember to leave a comment down below. It could end up right here in a future video. So let's talk about it, shall we? It says, Diablo 4 just got a new update, but why did they do this? Devs respond. Let's talk about it right now. So yes, we have Kurt Nordy who says this, one thing I really hope Blizzard does is makes it so gyms do not share the same inventory as weapons and armor. I strongly feel that gyms should have their own inventory tab next to the existing weapons and armor inventory tab. You know, 364 upvotes on that. I could not agree more. The gym discussion is the constant discussion right now, the most requested change. It says quality of life adjustment I'd like to see is the ability to add multiple markers to your map so you don't have to do one altar at a time. You could look at the interactive map to see where the altars are and then mark them on the in-game map. Now, instead of having to keep checking the interactive map after each altar, you could just change your waypoint to a new marker. They had something like this for Red Dead Online. It made finding treasure so much less tedious. Add it to the game, Blizzard. Make it happen. Bill Anderson has some feedback here. This is what I want from Diablo 3 features and learnings. Let me trade items drop during a party with people who are in said party. An hour-long timer is fine too. Vacuum. When I pick one of the several quest drops, pick them all up. A pet to pick up gold and crafting mats. That'd be pretty interesting. Search my stash. not just names by aspects and affixes. Server down advanced warnings, that's a big one, especially for hardcore mode. New quality of life things I'd like. Sort options such as sorting of aspect name and strength of aspect as secondary sort. Sorting sigils by zone and tier. Split sigils out from consumables. Great idea. Time remaining on icons for buffs, such as how much time is left on an altar or shrine buff or consumable. I believe there is an icon, by the way, in the lower left that it's not a timer exactly, but it is kind of like a circle that slowly counts down. You'll notice it in the icon itself. Now, tooltips for persistent buffs telling you where it came from. Party portals is in more towns than just the capitals. Quest sharing in a party. My portal to show in the map. I'd like to see where my portal takes me back to on the map, or at the minimum to the tooltip telling me the zone, or if it is in the dungeon name. Bring back party summoning scrolls. Bring back clan stash. That would be cool. In the Nightmare Dungeon, put all the attributes in the top right part. Speaking of which, keep Stormbane out of the boss room again and keep it from hovering on objectives you need time to interact with or make the time needed short enough to fit between blasts. Having to walk a couple screens away and wait for it to go there, then walk back and get to it before Storm and catches you is lame and annoying. Okay, enough for now. Yeah, great stuff right there, and I am really hoping that Blizzard is reading through your comments, because let me tell you what, some of you guys should absolutely be developers. You have excellent ideas, and I really hope that Blizzard is going through the comment section and really paying attention to what you guys are saying, because it's on point. But yeah, thank you all so much for the love and support on the recent Diablo 4 videos. It has been absolutely crazy. I have you guys covered with all things Diablo 4, so look out for more. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Take care.